Let's just start. Again, I'm Morgan Ritter. I'm the project manager for this new public art purchase opportunity. I'm gonna walk you through this info session along with Anna Ruth, who we'll introduce in just a second. And there will also be some other RAC staff who will jump in the mix, and that will be really great to put faces to names that maybe some people have, emailed for years. So maybe I'll just start by quickly introducing myself. My title at RAC is the Public Art Exhibitions and Collections Coordinator. And that means I work with public art directly with artists and with artwork, caring for the artwork, organizing project management and new opportunities like this one, installing artwork and curating artwork within public space. And that's an amazing job, and I love doing that. It's basically having a lot of conversations with city and county staff and placing artwork within their offices and lobbies and municipal spaces. And also I'm an artist and a poet, so I have that perspective simultaneously. Anna, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Anna, and I work with Regional Arts and Culture Council on the communications team. I do a lot of all of our social media and different content creation, writing, design, photo, storytelling sorts of things. So I maybe have interacted with some of you, but definitely not all of you. So it's really nice to be here and to be supporting the public art team in this event tonight.
Thank you. Yeah, and I'll just touch on a few other staff that are here, unless Kristen, you want to introduce yourself. I know you have your video on.
Yeah, I thought you wanted us all to have our video on, so we're at staff.
That's
hopefully
great.
the other folks on staff turn their videos on as well. Welcome. We're really happy to have so many people here, and happy to be able to be doing a project that artists can participate in. I'm Kristen Calhoun. I'm the director of the public art program, and I'm just really happy to have you here, and I'm going to talk a little bit more in a minute. Hey, I'm going to pass it to Danielle.
Hey, I'm Danielle Davis with the Public Art Program. I work with Morgan and Kristen to take care of the art collection. I'm the registrar, so I keep track of everything, help take care of everything, and help accession everything. So I'll be very much part of this process.
Great. And I think Keith might be joining at some point. Keith Lakowitz. He also might.
Hi, I'm here. Can you?
Oh, okay, good. I
just
just didn't see you. Okay.
I'm here in my blurry office. My name's Keith Lakowitz. He, him pronouns. I'm the public art collections manager. I work with Danielle and Morgan on all things collections related at RAC. Happy to be here.
Thank you. Thanks, Keith.
I think I saw Salvador, but if I'm wrong, then I'm wrong.
I can
we don't hear their voice in a second. Okay, let's move on.
I can just quickly introduce Salvador. Salvador Mayoral. He also works within public art and manages the Murals program, and has done a lot of project management, and definitely reach out to him about anything mural related. He's an incredible resource. So I'll go to the next slide. Let's see. Is it going? Oh no. How do I go? Oh.
There we go.
Okay, there we go. All right. So this is just the overall agenda. Introductions we've just done. Anna will talk about accessibility and RAC. I'll go through some immediate responses and new programs in the COVID era, and obviously go over the overview of this public art purchase call, And Keith and I will talk about the Portable Works public art collection, which is where the artwork will go that is purchased. I'll discuss eligibility. Danielle will talk about the portal, that's the application online. And I'll go over the selection process and timeline, and then we'll have a Q&A at the end. So during this process, if you could enter any questions throughout in the chat, that would be great. And then Anna will raise them appropriately within this presentation, but we'll probably get to most of them at the end. And just because we only have an hour, I'm going to be a little bit speedy about some of our topics, just so we can secure that time at the end. So that'll be really important. And that's one of the big reasons why you might be here, is to have that like dialogue. Okay, Anna, do you want to discuss accessibility a bit?
Sure. We are working right now on a new organizational-wide approach to our accessibility services at RAC. It's a huge priority for us now and always, and so we're revisiting our processes there. So for this event, Morgan has turned on the live transcript, which actually it's kind of working. So utilize that if you can, but also we are recording this video. I would say if you need support outside of this accessibility services for this meeting and this content, please reach out to us. You can message me directly in the chat or reach Morgan at the email address in the call, so that we can make sure to follow up with all of the support and details that you need. And that includes everything listed there in the bullets: translation, large print, interpretation, technical assistance with the call and the portal, captioning, accommodations for disabilities, and anything else that we missed that you need, please don't hesitate to ask. We're here to support you.
Awesome. Okay, Anna, do you want to just point out
Sure.
a couple?
Just a quick overview of RAC, Regional Arts and Culture Council. You will see our little picture there of our offices, which none of us have been in for a year, which is wild. They are downtown in the park blocks and Flanders, right near PNCA. You want to go to the next slide, Morgan? We have 5 umbrella, sorry, I'm simultaneously admitting people into this meeting. We have 5 umbrellas under our organization: advocacy, grants, public art, education, and then our resources. And so those are just the different ways that we strive to support the arts community really across the region. And the pink one is what we're here for tonight, our public art work. Just some quick, really high level RAC stuff for you. RAC's mission is to enrich our communities through arts and culture. We are a 501c3 nonprofit providing grants for artists and nonprofit organizations. We manage an internationally acclaimed public art program, which we're here to discuss tonight. Convene forums, networking events, and other community gatherings, provide workshops and other forms of technical assistance, and support equity-based arts education. RAC advocates for equity, inclusion, and access, working to build a community in which everyone can participate in culture, creativity, and the arts. So it's very possible this is your first interaction with RAC tonight. If so, welcome, and we're really glad that you're here, and would love to follow up with you and hear what else we can work with you on. But yeah, we're here with our public art team, as I think is clear. And you can just see right there some more resources, our website, and then you can follow us on social media, both Instagram and Facebook, our Regional Arts. And I'll just note really quick before we move on that if you have missed anything or you're just arriving, please don't hesitate to message me directly in the chat and let me know what you need or what you missed, and I'll message you.
Okay, I'll just briefly cover our grants department. So this is in transition, as are a lot of our programs. We're kind of working a lot on community surveys and paid focus groups to reimagine the services we offer and like our investments. So the grants team is definitely evolving. They used to offer project grants, separate individual and organization grants, and professional development grants, and then individual artist fellowships. But now they've kind of pivoted due to our like community engagement to offer more emergency relief grants, general operating support for arts organizations, and then this new grant, which is very exciting. It's actually the round one is due tomorrow. So I did want to mention that for any people that may want to jump on the bandwagon quickly. I'm going to just mute this person just so everybody can hear. Yeah, so this new opportunity is called Make, Learn, Build. It sort of allows artists and organizations and arts businesses to have agency to select their own grant, what they want and how it can support them best. So it's a very flexible award system. And we'll get into that actually in a little bit, I think in maybe the next couple slides in more detail, but you can choose your category, make, learn, or build, and then choose your award amount. And artists and businesses must be located within Multnomah, Washington, and Clackamas County. So public art, if Kristen is here, it'd be great to have her go over some of our programs.
Me too. We run a variety of different programs through the public art program. We do percent for art programming, but nested up in percent for art programming is temporary works, artist residencies, large scale permanent works. We also manage different levels of collections. So we have the Visual Chronicle of Portland, which is a smallish collection that is solely focused on the city of Portland, artists' visions and renderings and ideas about specifically the city of Portland. And then the portable works, which is what you're here for. Those are the smaller scale things that rotate through city and county office buildings. We do manage the city and the county's collection as one collection, rather than saying this one's owned by the city and it can only go in a city building, and the county, we manage it. We're not that big of a community that we still manage it as one overall collection. We also have been trying to make all sorts of pivots during this COVID moment. We did, it was a portable works purchase, but it was also almost a little bit WPA-ish, like they did in the 30s, and we called it Support Beam. And Morgan was the team lead on that one as well. And that was really about supporting artists during this COVID moment, and also at the same time bringing new works into the public realm that that connect to this COVID moment. We've also been working with the Portland Bureau of Transportation, which is the PBOT that you see there, on a Black Portland Matters Art and Placemaking Initiative, where we are working with 6 different community-based organizations, and those organizations all selected their own artists to work with. So look for those projects to be revealed in the spring and summer. Let's see. So those are all, I think I've covered most of those. Also within this COVID and Black Lives Matter moment, lots of murals have been springing up, and just trying to look at how we preserve those. What happens next? Where do they go? How are we supporting artists? Those are the big things, obviously. And then the Public Art Murals program, Morgan mentioned that Salvador, who is on this call as well, is the team lead on the Public Art Murals program. And so questions about murals are great to direct to Salvador. In general, I think that we really hope that the public art program has many different entry points, whether it's large scale work or small scale work. temporary, permanent. That's what we're striving to have, is many different ways for artists to show up in the public realm.
But
Thanks, Kristen.
You bet.
So I'm just going to move on to some of those immediate responses during the pandemic that I kind of touched on. And if everyone could mute, I think that would be best. So there's clarity. There's a lot of people here.
Here, oh, you wait 1 second.
Yeah.
Okay, I think I muted. Okay, go ahead.
So support beam Kristen just mentioned, it was like the program that's kind of inspired by the WPA. It was intended to strengthen artists' livelihood and production of work over a period of 3 to 6 months. And then there would be one piece that would be acquired into the public art collection. And the awards were pretty significant. BIPOC artists were prioritized, and we had 2 cycles of that, and it was really great. I hope we can continue that one. Then the visual chronicle, Kristen also mentioned in the public art program slide. That is the Portland specific work. So works on paper that are conveying what makes Portland unique. So last year, it loosely related to representing the pandemic and COVID. There were amazing pieces like photographs of musicians playing on their front steps, and lots of work, lots of unique work too, not just photography. And yeah, 27 works were purchased last year. And again, BIPOC artists were prioritized in that opportunity as well. As I mentioned too, we've been doing a lot of community surveys and paid focus groups, transitioning our programs and trying to be more responsive and support artists, lower barriers, get more money out. That's all happening with a racial equity focus, and that work continues. So this is what I was mentioning earlier, make, learn, build. Again, this is the grant. This is a new grant program. It's for artists and arts businesses to self-select what makes the most sense for support for them. So the make would be like supporting the creation of artwork. The learn would be more of that like professional development world. And the build is more organizational or like business focused. And then people can select their funding level. Deadline tomorrow, as well as another round that is due May 19th. So yeah, if you can't apply tomorrow, then definitely try May 19th. And then earlier opportunities from last year were emergency fund for artists and arts workers. That was incredible. A lot of money went out, and I don't have that figure in my head right now. And then capturing the moment was also another program that supported artists in a very wide amount of media, supported digital works presented on social media, and some works added into the collection. I don't, again, have the figures of that, but we've been very active and continuing. So this link has those more like emergency funding opportunities and resources. And then also just rac.org you can go to find more about all of our departments and programs. And while you're here, the art purchase opportunity. So I'm going to go over some of the details of this. It's actually pretty simple. These kinds of art purchases in public art are designed to be really accessible. We want to purchase 2D artwork. and that's finished artwork. This artwork will enter the public art collection, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. The majority of the artwork purchased for this call will be installed within the Vanport building. It will still be within the public art collection, and that means that it'll be sited at the Vanport building for like the first 5 years or so. Maybe Danielle can correct me if I'm wrong. But all these works rotate within city and county buildings. So it would have a very lively future. Funding for this opportunity comes from the City of Portland's Percent for Art program, and the overall total is $65,000. And we want to purchase as many works as we can with that for the Vanport building and for the collection at large. This opportunity is for artists in Oregon and all of Washington, which is really unique to have the whole state of Washington included. It's due March 31st. So that's about 2 weeks away. And yeah.
I had a question directly to me that I think is just to clarify for everyone. Morgan was just reviewing some of the other opportunities happening recently or currently with REC, such as that Make Learn Build grant, and that Make Learn Build grant is open to Portland artists or work in the Portland area. And make sure I linked it in the chat, but this call that we're here to discuss tonight is open to Oregon and Washington artists. Just to clarify, I think there was a little bit of confusion there, but I linked to the Make Learn Build grant in the chat and also to the Vanport call, which is what we're discussing tonight.
Great, yeah, and each of those opportunities that I talked about have their own eligibility criteria. So if you're interested in them, go investigate on the RAC website and dig a little deeper. I can't represent every detail of them, but I'm trying to, so sorry about that. So what is a call for art? That's an invitation. It's an open call to submit finished work for us to purchase. A panel of curators, administrators, community members, city or county staff, a very diverse panel, will select work, and through multiple rounds of scoring and virtual live discussion over Zoom and online. So if purchased, where will my art live? As I said, most of the work will be sited in the Vanport building. And this Vanport building is a new building down in Southwest Montgomery and Southwest 4th Avenue in Portland. This building joins together the Portland Bureau of Planning and Sustainability. That's a City of Portland office. It'll join PSU, which is Portland State University's College of Education. It'll also join OHSU, Oregon Health and Science University, and PSU's School of Public Health, and PCC's dental programs. So that's a lot. Those are many different partners that are all coming together in this building. And that's why the key concepts are related to what these offices and educational programs do. So ecology, wellness, and connectivity. These are the loose concepts that we're looking for the artwork to relate to. The panel will, again, have like a very wide breadth of work. The work does not need to be explicitly nature related, but like even an abstract work would be considered for this, as long as it could find its home within this context. Ecology is there to reference the sustainability and focus on natural resources and wellness is there as this focus on health and collaboration and well-being, especially in this time, and also looking at the medical and dental programs within the building. And then connectivity, there's going to be a lot of partnership and collaboration with those different programs and institutions. So the artwork should loosely relate to those themes. If it doesn't, it will be less likely to be purchased for this call. So some more call details. Those concepts, ecology, wellness, connectivity, and we prefer unframed work, prints, paintings, photographs, drawings, textiles, collage, bas relief, mosaic, glass, ceramic, metal, all with a 4-inch depth maximum. So that is to accommodate ADA, which is accessibility of wheelchairs and mobility devices and clear passageways. The maximum dimensions for the work that we're purchasing should be 60 by 48 in either horizontal or vertical. That's again to like focus on the portable work collection, which portable we need to be able to handle somewhat independently and install somewhat independently. So 60 by 48 is the maximum size. And of course, work smaller than that will definitely be, that will be considered. If it's bigger than that, again, it will be less likely to be considered because it's less, it doesn't work within the portable works collection. So the artwork will be purchased and accessioned into the Portable Works Public Art Collection, and you can view what's in the collection online at racpublicart.org. And I think that's a really cool way of getting a grasp on what we represent, what's currently there, what you feel like might be missing. Yeah, we're constantly evolving that collection and want it to represent a wide variety of backgrounds and populations and approaches to art. I'll go into detail actually, I think in the next slide with Keith. So if Keith wants to jump in and talk a little bit about the Portable Works collection, you're welcome to.
Thanks, Morgan. I think our current collection size is about 1,800 objects, and they are displayed in 45 to 50 different buildings owned by the city and the county. We, at any one time, have about 80% of that collection out there in the world, and folks in these locations, most of them are publicly accessible without an appointment. We do make some exceptions for elected officials' offices, but they would make an appointment with RAC staff, which is usually Morgan. Morgan would do a site visit and then work with the folks in that office to talk about, what really is publicly accessible, and hey, we don't want to bury something in the public from the public collection into a personal office, and then also talk to them about the type of work that they want. And then we would also have a site that, well, normal times, not COVID times necessarily, a person-to-person visit in our art storage area where the folks can actually see the work firsthand. The works do rotate. That's why it's called the Portable Works Collection. That rotation can vary, sometimes as short as 6 months, sometimes as long as 5 or 6 years. It really depends on how the space is used, and we get a sudden call for like, hey, we've got to paint this and there's construction going on. And we're like, we only put the stuff up 6 months ago, but fine, let's come out, we'll get it, and then we'll move the work into other requests. Anything that I'm leaving out important, Danielle or Morgan? Okay, I'm also answering questions on the chat if they come up.
Yeah, that's great, Keith. I mean, I would just say that the buildings, what are there, about 30 different buildings, or?
I think that number is probably more like 45 or 50 these days, and it runs obviously all over Multnomah County. There's a sort of concentrated batch of them downtown. We have the Portland building, again, when it's open, City Hall, Justice Center, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, and the buildings vary so much. I mean, some have so much strange, like, architectural character, or look like a little bit dated, kind of like this photo here, or some, you know, are completely slick new developments. Yeah, so it's really fascinating.
And you can track where your piece is in our public art search function online. And I just want to say that sometimes you walk into a room like the one shown, where there really is a nice exhibition happening, or there's a large piece right in the public lobby for the Bureau that is obviously stunning, but also sometimes tucked around where folks are working, and the public can also visit. There are pieces that really provide, I don't know exactly how to put this, but sort of the humanity and the life of the space. And it's always gratifying to us who install the work and place the work to be able to put your artists' hard work and excellent artwork out there in the public. It really is a great job, as Morgan said early on.
Yeah, and I'll just go through quickly some examples of more interior spaces where we do install the portable works collection. This is the newly built, newly renovated Portland building, which is one of those very unique buildings in town. This is a fantastic body of work that we were calling the Small Works Collection. There's much more beyond this photo currently cited there. Some details, you know, you can see on the right. Yes, so I'll go through some more pieces. I'm not going to go through everybody because I don't think we have time to go through all of the artist names, unfortunately, but they're definitely on the slides. But just showing the diversity of work in the collection. And here's an example of that 4-inch depth. The work needs to be wall mountable. If it is sculptural, it needs to be wall mountable with that 4-inch depth to make it work with the accessibility requirements in public space. And eligibility, I've already discussed this, but artists from Oregon and Washington with 2D finished work for submission. The panel is going to prioritize applications from artists who identify as Black, Indigenous, and artists of color, BIPOC artists. They're going to prioritize these artists as an effort to acknowledge the disproportionate impact of COVID and beyond on these communities, as well as diversify the collection, which we've been intending and doing for years. So this prioritization, the panel will determine how to do that as a group. and they will come up with a rubric to determine how to prioritize these artists, but all artists are welcome to apply. And there's a healthy budget for this project, and I think we will support a wide variety of artists. So if Danielle is available to go over the portal, which is the online application, that would be great, or else I can.
Yes, I'm here. Sorry, I was pressing my buttons.
No, that's fine.
So yeah, the application portal, this is how you will apply for the opportunity online. And these are the requirements for the application itself. You can submit 6 works of art, 2 images per work. And you'll have to put in some details about each one. We'll also need either a resume or bio, some information about you and your practice, or an artist statement. And we asked for a website, but you don't have to have a professional one. You can link to your social media, Facebook, Instagram, whatever works for you. So this is our online portal. It's at rac.org/apply, which is written right there. If you have not been here already, you can register for an account or go ahead and log in, which you see at the upper, is that right, corner. Once you log in, it will show you all the opportunities that you can apply for, or are qualified to apply for, I guess. Including the Make, Learn, Build. We'll probably show it for you as well. But you will see this opportunity, and it's just called Art Purchase Opportunity, Ecology, Wellness, and Connectivity. If you click on that little square, Morgan, do you want to take us to the next one?
Oh, yeah.
It'll take you to this screen, which is the application. So there's two tasks that you need to complete. You can see them on the bottom there. One is the demographic information form, and the other is the application, where you submit your artwork and put in your bio. Once you're done with those, you click that they're done, and you will have a chance to review your application before you do the final submission. You can also leave and come back at a later time to finish your application as well. It's pretty intuitive, but if you do end up having any questions, you can contact me or Morgan. I think our contact information is in the call. Yeah, so hopefully that will make sense.
I'm gonna jump in really quick with Danielle's email in the chat. D. Davis, right? Just because there's someone asking about to the individual who asked about JPEGs and having trouble uploading in the portal. If you don't mind reaching out to Danielle right at that address that I just linked there, that would be the best way to get that problem addressed.
Yeah, Danielle is expert.
Or anything in that technical portal category, that's your golden ticket.
Yeah, just shoot me an email, I'll help. Yeah.
Awesome. I will move us forward. Yeah, so the deadline to apply for this art purchase opportunity is Wednesday, March 31st by 5 p.m. Definitely try to get it in sooner. That would be great. Safer for you. And again, research the collection. That's racpublicart.org. I think it's really exciting that it's finally available, like fully online. So yeah, have a good surf through that. Ask questions again. My email and Danielle's email will be at the end on a slide, but it's also on all of the call information, which is on the website, and maybe Anna even put it in the chat. So yeah, that covers that. Here's a little screenshot of what that racpublicart.org looks like. You can just search through the different collections. permanently cited work, which that's often what people think of when they think of public art, but we have all of this incredible 2D artwork. That's the portable works collection. Then there's murals and lots more. So have a look. And I'm going to go over some just process and timeline stuff, and then we'll have time for Q&A, hopefully like about 10 minutes at least. And whatever we can't cover, I should just say, we will for sure follow up on email us, and we will get back to you. So selection process, that is that panel I talked about. Panel of artists, administrators, community members, municipal staff, that's city and county staff members, curators, like an assortment of people with these different positions and, you know, diverse backgrounds and approaches. They will come together, determine how to prioritize artists. They'll make the decisions. They'll have really intense, like thoughtful conversations about each artist. So it's a really generous process that I've sat in on. Before even I worked at RAC, I was on the panel, and it was surprisingly generous. And I can talk about that a little bit more in the next slide. But artists are selected based on their ability to demonstrate their unique vision, their relation to the key concepts. Again, it's like a loose relationship, but those are the concepts that we're aiming for because of all of the different fields that those institutions and partners are working within in the Vanport building. And then the work's overall suitability for public display. So your work is probably not going to be selected if it's like violent imagery or like, you know, potentially traumatizing or triggering imagery.
We had a question in the chat about that. So just also a note that hopefully some of your questions are getting answered in here, but
Okay.
the question was specifically about nudity. And I think, as you're saying, Morgan, it's worth touching on that. We try to approach this selection process with a trauma-informed lens, thinking about the audience who's going to be receiving it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because these are installed in public spaces, we are absolutely have to be and try to be mindful of any possible triggers to trauma, and, you know, try to have work that doesn't upset people. That's also to say that we definitely have more like challenging work in the collection, but it's just less likely to be placed publicly. So it's a bit of a complex area. Is there something else, Anna, that you wanted to mention?
No,
Okay.
I'm just going to keep us on time. We have a lot of questions, so
Okay.
we have 10 minutes.
Okay. Artist statement and images, breathe life. So the process and timeline: submit by the 31st. This is the process. Staff review for eligibility. Then review panels, read and score online independently. Then the panel meets on Zoom together and discusses in great detail. Late April 2021, artists will be notified if their work is selected or not. Then there will be a contract completed and the handoff of the art piece to us. And then payments will be processed, and artists will complete a conservation form for Danielle to record all of its information. Reviews are online, so as best as you can, high quality images will do your work well. And we also understand that that's not accessible to everybody. So there's kind of both things at once. So we keep that in mind for sure. you can follow up on the call for details. Panel feedback is not always available if there's a ton of applicants and, not that thorough of a conversation per artist. It gets more thorough when the work that passed that first phase of high scoring. Panelists will sign an agreement that acknowledges a conflict of interest. So if they have like a financial or personal relationship to any artists, they will refrain from scoring those artists. And then selections take into account our budget, panel rankings, and prioritization using the racial equity lens that we have at RAC. And then everybody is notified where they land. And so here's our emails. And actually, I think we can start the Q&A because I believe, yep, we're at the end of the slideshow.
All right, thanks, Morgan.
Yeah.
For a lot of you, I think we did cover some of these questions in the presentation. And again, a lot of those things are also in the PDF that Morgan just went over. They're also in the PDF, so you can go ahead and check there. And Morgan's email is at the bottom there. So if you feel like there's something missing, you can always reach out. I think, Morgan, we have a lot of questions. What I'm going to suggest is that if your question is specific to your work, so if it's about like my piece is made of this material and I have this question about its installation, or would it work, would this specific thing work? We would ask that you reach out. How do you feel about this, Morgan? If you email Morgan directly with the question about your specific work, I think that would be helpful in getting through some of these questions. And then I'm just going to run us through as many of these popcorn as we can. If you're up for it, Morgan, the rest of them.
I'm up for it, and the RAC staff can jump in too.
Yes.
But yeah, we'll do our best.
One of the most common questions I'm seeing is asking for advice on pricing. A range that we usually pay, what should folks price their work at? Is it relevant to make it clear that they're offering at a discount? Just lots of questions about cost.
And you pinged me to answer that question. So
Okay, Keith too, because I saw it a lot of times, but Keith made a good point. Maybe it's a good one to discuss here.
yeah. Well, I think it's always a hard question. You as the artist know what went into the work, how much time and energy and all those levels of things, from your experiences out in the world when you see other people's work and how it's priced. So I think you have to kind of dig into your own space and experience on where your work might fit. That said, when we have a project that is $65,000, is that right, Morgan? If you're saying that your painting is worth 10,000, the committee's going to have to really, really love it to spend that amount of money on a single piece. So, it's a challenging balancing act. And, I do also think that you can reach out if you have a feeling of like, I'm thinking this range, but I'm kind of open to this or this. What, how do you feel? That's always a hard one. I don't know, Keith, Morgan, do you have other things you want to add to that? Danielle, Salvador, anybody?
One of the things that I always think of is if your work gets selected and you're like, oh, but I'm only getting XYZ amount, it's too low. It has to be worth it for you. At the same time, if you're saying, my work got selected, windfall profits, well, maybe a little too high. Keep in mind the people who are trying to make this selection, they are trying to make $65,000 go a ways, but they also are going to be looking for quality pieces. So be fair to yourself, I guess, would be my best advice.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I think we should probably move on with that being said to the other questions.
Sure. A lot of questions about how many pieces people can submit, and I think the PDF says 6. Is that
6.
correct?
6 pieces maximum, and definitely don't need to submit all 6. You can submit 1 if you want, whatever you
A lot of questions about framing and why they should not be framed.
Rack frame.
And about, I'll also add,
Mhm.
can things be matted? Is there a difference between matting and framing? What if if frame is integral to the piece? I think you mentioned that, but.
Yes. Actually, if the frame is integral to the piece, like conceptually or structurally, then submit it. You can also email me with a photo if you want to talk in detail about that. But we really prefer that pieces are not framed because we need all of the pieces to be framed in an archival way and also like a standardized way within the collection. And all frames have to be security mounted. But again, we're going to do like a standardized approach to framing and matting. So that is generally how we keep work, having a long life, being safe, secure, archival, protected, and having special hardware on the back. So
Cool.
That's what I can say.
Keith, were you going to add something?
Morgan, I would just add that when your work is selected, we ask you to provide us some paperwork about just the basic concept of the piece, but also about framing. Do you want it matted a certain way? Are there issues that we should consider as we're making some of those decisions? Someone also asked if it's already framed, does that make it less desirable? And I don't think so. I wouldn't worry about that too much. What if it is selected, what you might want to do is let us know, hey, do you want this frame? Because if you don't, I want it back. That's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
A couple questions that I'm grouping together real quick, because this call is open to artists across the state and also in Washington. Is shipping and delivery accounted for in cost? And also, how soon does work need to be delivered if it is selected?
Okay, those are great questions. I'm not sure I even have the answers right at this very moment. But maybe Keith and Kristen can talk about how that has been addressed in previous calls that have accepted work from far away land.
I would say we have not necessarily covered the shipping. We have covered the shipping if there's some reason that the work is not accepted and we have to ship it back. But that's been pretty rare. And I think we're in this COVID moment, right? So how and when we have things delivered and bring things in is all going to be contingent on what is happening in that moment, like how safe are things. So that's why we're definitely squishier than we would normally be in the before times. On a question like that, we usually have a pretty solid plan on how we're going to bring it in.
So maybe feel free to follow up and ask directly if you have a concern there or if you have a special need there.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, grouping some more. I know we just said that people can submit 6 pieces. There have been a couple questions around submitting collections of pieces. One question around a triptych that individually are, I think this person said 3 pieces, no larger than 36, total 72. Another person asked about submitting a full collection that all goes together. I don't know if you have a thoughtful, concise answer on those. Maybe I'm not grouping them well, but I'm trying.
The triptych question is pretty easy. If it is obvious that this is an integrated single piece, it's perfectly fine.
And as far as a collection, I think, again, maybe the 6 submission pieces could help guide that. But I think this person might be asking if a full collection, like if they all go together.
I think those are probably going to be a little bit less competitive in the selection panel's mind, just because they're also considering, what does it take for us to store this? How many opportunities are there to actually display a large collection? I don't know how large we're talking here, but there's enough sort of questions there that might give them pause, which is not to say that you couldn't say this is all goes together and this is one piece, and let them consider that.
Great.
Thanks, Kate.
Thanks. Maybe this is a quick one. Are City of Portland and Multnomah County employees eligible to apply? Maybe it's not a quick one, or everyone's just muted.
Well, in general, you can apply for, if you work for the city, you can apply for purchase in the county collection. And if you work for the county, you can apply for purchase in the city collection. But it is a little bit, challenging. I'm cycling through my head of if we have any examples of that. Honestly, I think if your bureau is not in a decision-making role, it is actually probably okay.
I would say so too, because I should also specify, I don't know if it was clear, but RAC is independent. RAC is funded by the city, receives funding by the city and county, but is independent of them. We're not a city or county organization. And also, if there are, like Kristen said, bureaus, or if there are people on the panel with a conflict of interest, they have to refrain from scoring your work if they know you, or have an advantage, if you have an advantage that way.
Yeah, but like if we were purchasing work for the health department and you work for the health department, it probably wouldn't really work. But in this case, it's more of a general collection, so it's probably okay. Squishy answer.
Thanks. Yeah. If you feel like we're giving a squishy answer, please follow up, because we probably are giving a squishy answer, not intentionally, just to keep moving. I think we still have 82 people in this call, so I might give you a couple more questions if you all have time.
Yeah.
If everyone leaves, I'll stop, but I would say another question I saw might be relevant to several folks: photography. My work is photography. Should I include options for different sizes of the same piece, or should I just submit and choose the size I think you might want?
I would say that you should let us know what you think this work is going to be presented, how it's going to be presented best, at what size it's going to be presented best, and price it accordingly to what that size of print would cost. Sometimes the selection panel is like, oh, that's a bit oversized. Can we go back to the artist and request a smaller one or a bigger one? They'll take that into consideration. So price it the way you'd like to see it. Size it the way you'd like to see it.
Cool. What about if you already have, this is another good one. What if you have a piece in the public collection already, or in any of our collections? Are you less likely, less eligible, more, you're not disqualified, correct?
No, you're not disqualified. We've had opportunities in the past that are emerging artists, or if your work isn't in the collection, then it's we're more likely to support, but that's not the case with this call. So I would just encourage everybody to submit work, even if you do have work in the collection. It's the panel's job to determine that level. So I would just encourage artists to apply, and then we will consider that and make note. If you have 10 pieces in the collection, we'll make note of that, and that might make it less likely to be purchased. But it's, again, something that the panel will determine, and I would just encourage people to try.
What about recent work, sorry, not recent work, recency of work. There were, I think, 2 questions about that. Does it need to have been created within a certain period of time? Okay.
No, the work can be very old. It needs to be finished work, so it really doesn't. We don't have the need for very recent work.
Okay, I think there, I see a question about what do we mean about artist statement, and I think, as Morgan said, that can be flexible, correct?
Yeah, we talked about that in the Instagram live a little bit more, which also I can suggest people visit that too if you want a little bit more information. Anna and I had an Instagram live info session about this opportunity. You can find it in the IGTV on regional arts, but yeah.
Flexible on that.
We're flexible. I mean, artist statement can be formal, it can be informal, it can be casual, it can be as if you're talking to your neighbor. It can be a poem I love, but yeah, it can be really whatever you think will serve your work and, like I said, like breathe life into your application.
All right. The last question that I think was not covered is, can we, well, actually 2, sorry. Will we buy quality prints of art created? I think the answer to that is yes.
I'm not sure I
Should I not
understand.
say?
Well,
Well, I was thinking of photography prints, but, or there would be different kinds of prints, but I think this person just says, will you buy quality prints of art we created?
yeah, so I would say if it's a print of a painting, not very likely.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, I mean, what we're looking for are original works or works of fairly limited edition in general.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I'm reading it to make sure I've gotten everything. I think I have.
Yeah, and I would just say, since there are so many people, definitely email us.
Yeah.
If your questions haven't been addressed or if you have questions outside of this info session. We're here and we will get back to you.
I think that I've linked it a couple times, but there is the PDF in the chat of the details for this call. And again, if there's anything that you're not seeing there that you're wondering about still, please reach out to Morgan, whose email is in the chat a couple times and also in that PDF.
Great. And on the RAC website, you can join our public art email list to get notifications of these kinds of opportunities. So definitely do that. And yeah, we have concluded our info session. So I just want to thank everybody so much. I'm really grateful for so much engagement and such a high number of guests. So thank you all. Good luck with your applications.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Enjoy your night. Thank you.